Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Pucci, Senior Editor at Meister Media Worldwide with Agribusiness Global, and we're here with Jim DeLisi for our second episode of Trade Talk with Jim. Jim is chief at Fanwood Chemical in New Jersey, and Jim has been giving us some updates on the trade situation, and he also offers monthly data tracking the imports of active ingredients into the United States. So I just wanted to ask you, Jim, I was looking at this article in the Washington Post. It was a couple of days ago that Biden said he's not planning to reverse the tariffs on Chinese goods imported into the United States as quickly as he plans to reverse other Trump era policies. He said, I'm not going to make any immediate moves, and the same applies to the tariffs, said Biden, and I'm not going to prejudice my options. So I was just wondering what you think about the tariffs going forward. How will the new administration, do you expect everything will pretty much stay the same, or?
Okay, Jackie. It's really terrific that we finally have some words from the incoming president on this policy, because last time we had this talk, we were really concerned because we had no idea what he was going to do, and we were concerned about a knee-jerk reaction to just reverse everything that was done by President Trump, especially since those tariffs, the 301 tariffs, are also done by executive action, so can be overturned with another executive order. I think first we need to state it's December 17 is the date that we're doing this, and so as of this date, this is the best that we know, subject to change. It's really interesting that the incoming Biden administration has decided that before they do anything drastic with China, they're going to do a very, very careful review of the whole situation. Frankly, that makes a lot of sense because the second year of the phase one agreement includes substantial purchase mandates on China, especially for agricultural commodities, which is really important to this industry. And so if he blew up the tariffs on January 21, he would also blow up their requirements to purchase all of those ag commodities and also industrial materials and energy and other things that are part of the phase one deal. I've read a whole bunch of articles on this, though while the incoming president wants to be more internationalist in his approach, he is finding a very different playing field than when he last left office 4 years ago. And so it's really good that he's going to do a careful review of the entire situation to find out really the best path forward. It also can be added that the person he has nominated for USTR is a woman by the name of Catherine Tai. She's a Yale, Harvard law graduate, so obviously very, very intelligent. She speaks fluent Mandarin and is said to be to take a very hard line on China issues. So it is likely that the pressure will remain to try to come to a better understanding on trade issues between the U.S. and China. As President Trump pushed hard, it looks like the Biden administration will, you can't say follow along, but will continue many of the similar policies for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, in that same article, I thought it was interesting, the author, he was arguing that the Trump tariffs have failed. He's saying, why isn't Biden reversing them? And he was saying that exports to China directly benefit American companies and American farmers have dropped by tens of millions of dollars each of the last 2 years. So he was saying like trade volumes are essentially flat. They're not moving the needle on the economic relationship between the China and the US, nor are the tariffs encouraging reshoring. Like, there's just not a lot of evidence of that happening. He also quoted one think tank saying that Trump's China policies have actually encouraged outsourcing. So exactly the opposite of their intent. So just wondering what your feeling is on these, on the tariffs, and I don't know, just.
I would not agree. that there has been some reshoring, not to the extent that the administration would have liked. And that's partially because a lot of the basic chemical manufacturing that you need in order to reshore a lot of products is not here any longer. So that if anybody believed you're going to flip a switch and all chemistry was going to come back to the United States, that didn't happen. And also, it's not been that long a period of time. It takes several years to get new chemical manufacturing facilities put into place, and especially in a heavily regulated industry like agrochemicals, you can't just flip the switch and say, "Hi, I've got a new source. Welcome me into the market." But the other thing that we've seen for sure is in places where there are alternate sources to China, they have the volumes and the values have increased. India, Brazil, other places like that, and more European materials coming in. And I think there has been the ability for both U.S. and Mexican facilities to increase their capabilities in some respects. But I think that anybody that was expecting to flip a switch and see a big change was mistaken and going to be mistaken all along.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel the pessimism. I think that the tariffs have helped many U.S. companies survive, which has been what has been a very difficult year. So I disagree with his pronouncements.
Okay. Have you seen increased imports just in the data that you compile from India or other countries than China?
Yes.
The active ingredients?
Products that are available from both places. If you take things like dicamba and 2,4-D, the Indian sources have become much more important to U.S. supply than the Chinese. Now, I suspect if you were talking about Brazil, you probably see the exact opposite phenomenon, because it makes sense to ship Indian source materials here where the Chinese are tariffed, and it would make sense to ship the Chinese materials to Brazil. So you might be seeing a different phenomenon in other parts of the world, but clearly here, the alternate sources to China have gained market share wherever the 301 tariffs are an issue.
And going back to the USTR you mentioned earlier, I was just wondering if you can, well, first of all, explain what the USTR is and what their role is and how it really impacts, the tariffs, what that position means.
Okay. USTR is the lead person for international trade affairs. In most other countries, they'd be called the trade minister. So it's a cabinet level position. The staff is not huge, but they've got their own staffs and their own experts in chemicals and environment and labor and tax, the whole 9 yards. They've got experts at USTR. It's the United States Trade Representative's office in DC. They're the lead negotiators in trade agreements, and they'd be the lead negotiators on tariffs. They were the lead negotiators on the China Phase 1 agreement. So that work is done by our United States Trade Reps office, which otherwise would be known as the Trade Ministry.
So the new person that is incoming, she's not actually, is she taken on the position fully yet? Or how does the Biden incoming administration affect that transition at all? Do you know? Well,
the existing, the person that runs USTR has got the title of ambassador. So Ambassador Lighthizer, who's the existing USTR, will be effectively done on January 20 at noon, when the administrations turn over. It is likely that one of his deputies that is a career civil servant and career civil service will be named acting until the new person, presumably Catherine Tai, can be appointed. And then before she can really take office, requires Senate approval, because it is one of the spots that requires senatorial agreement. There are at least 4 or 5 of the top USTR positions require such agreement. It's going to be very interesting to see how fast that can get done. A lot of it will depend, frankly, on what happens in Georgia on January 5. If the Republicans win one of those seats, they will dominate. And so Leader McConnell will decide the order and the speed at which the appointments are done. If the Democrats win both positions, then it will be Leader Schumer will be deciding, and I suspect it will happen much quicker if Leader Schumer is setting the agenda than if Leader McConnell is setting the agenda.
All right, well, thanks. Interesting stuff there. Just going back to your data too, any other, what's your latest trends that you've been seeing on imports of the various actives?
The place where we've got data is on formulated materials, because they have unique tariff system numbers. What we're seeing for what we saw as of September, fungicides are basically back at the level of 2018. Imports of formulated fungicides are back at the 2018 levels, both for the month of September and year to date 2020. So fungicides are doing real well. Maybe it's because there's so much rain that they need a lot more fungicide. I don't know. Herbicides for the month were back to where they were in October 2018. Excuse me, this is for October 2018, not September. And herbicides year to date are still off by about 15 to 20% on a year-to-date basis based on value, and insecticides continue to trail significantly. They're off by about a third from 2018 levels. So for whatever set of reasons, fungicides are back on track, but the other two main classes of ag chemicals are still behind where they were in 2018. So we keep looking for a trend that sees it going back to 2018, 2017 levels. We're not seeing it yet, at least in formulated products.
You're basing on value, not volume.
On value, based on value.
Okay. All right. So any recommendations that you want, or any other takeaways you want to share with people?
Yes, I continue to believe that the best safe path forward is for anything that's subject to the China 301 taxes is to keep it in a bonded warehouse. Oh, the other thing that we need to talk about too, the only exception that was left to the 301 tariffs was paraquat. That exception expires at the end of this year. So in 14 days, 2 weeks, there is no provisions for renewing it. So you can expect that imported paraquat from China will again have the 25% tariff on it, unless it comes in without the emetic. And so one of the things I suspect that you will see the new administration look at early on is some kind of a renewal for the exceptions procedures. So that would be, because in some instances the exceptions have been disruptive. Not having exceptions has been disruptive to U.S. economy. So it would make perfect sense to relook at that. USMCA is now settled. That's not going to change. The other thing everybody needs to look out for is UK, EU. It looks like there could be a hard Brexit. As of last night, they thought they've had some narrow ways to come to an agreement. That could have a significant impact on the world's economy if the UK and the EU don't find a path forward. That could be very, very disruptive to the entire world. There are a few agrochemicals that come out of the UK that could get disrupted. So it's a very perilous time, and the best we can say is to just be careful, utilize in-bond warehouses, and just be careful.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate it. And we will be following this with an article and with your latest data. So everybody, thank you so much. And we will be back next month for more.